Hello and welcome to the first of hopefully many podcasts. I'd like to start out by telling a little bit about my story and what brings me to actually wanting to do any of this, wanting to take on anything or discuss anything or even to further a message that needs to be furthered. And that message is the family court reform. Really, court reform in general and all aspects of court. But my focus is more on family court. See, my wife and I started out together 9 years ago now, when my stepson was 1.5 years old. We also have a daughter together as well. But this story really relates to my stepson. So, this was back in 2020. My wife and I owned a business and sold our interest out and decided to do a little bit of traveling. At that time, with 2020 and COVID and all of that stuff, my stepson was better off being homeschooled than he was through the school learning system that they had put in place in the meantime. See, he suffers with severe ADHD, and it was really hard for him to focus on different things that were going on when the computer was happening. So we decided to homeschool. We also took our faith into consideration. We had a discussion with his actual father and his father's girlfriend at the time to find the right homeschool that would have been right for him. We thought we did it, and we grabbed that. Then we decided, okay, we're going to go on a little bit of a vacation. We bought a fifth wheel, and we traveled across the United States, or at least the eastern side. We went from here down to North Carolina, down to Alabama, over to Florida, and back up. Now, this whole time, we're in a fifth wheel, we're in campgrounds, we're in all the fish and wildlife campgrounds. We're really off-grid, self-sufficient, not needing to deal with anything. It was a great opportunity. We got to learn certain things when we were down in Alabama. He got to go on board of the USS Alabama. He got to see a World War II submarine. It was so incredible to see history in action. It's what every child should be doing and every parent should dream of being able to do. So we did this, and it was about a little under a month that we did this. Well, while we were traveling, I actually got offered a job in New Mexico, of all places. It was on an intentional community where there was 10-acre lots that you bought into, and then there was also a town within this community. And what happens was, when you bought into the 10-acre lots, each business within the town would actually pay you 1% back at the end of the year on all profits. Now, the job was to run a manufacturing plant as well as run the construction company within this town who had the contract to build all of this. It was a great opportunity. It would have been a great opportunity for the family. There was an equestrian center. There was a gym. There was all of these things that were conveniences that were part of buying into this community. So my wife, being the due diligent parent that she is, called up her ex and said, hey, listen, we got this great opportunity. Now, mind you, this was a few days before we actually got back. I think it was about 7 days. But with that, she called up her ex and said, hey, listen, this is a wonderful opportunity for the kids. It would be great if we could do this. I would love to be able to set up a way that this would work. And he was very distraught about it, which, who can blame him? His kid going to New Mexico, and we live in Vermont. I probably should have started with that. That's a long ways away. However, this was just a discussion, and it would have been a more in-depth discussion when we get back. It just was kind of one of those things. So, with that being said, he was very distraught, said no. She said, well, not a big deal. We can discuss it more when we get back, and we can figure it out. Now, up until this point, my wife had full legal, physical, all custody was in her name. He actually didn't start showing up for about a year prior to us leaving. That was when he started showing up, when his girlfriend started to have more interest. So, now, fast track a few more days, we get back. Now, we live in a duplex next to her mother and her stepfather. Her mother and stepfather are very controlling people in general. So we didn't tell them. It wasn't a discussion that needed to be had at that point. It really didn't pertain to them. Well, we get back, and all of a sudden, it's about 9 o'clock at night, and we have 4 state troopers knocking at our door. No idea what's going on. Now, see, her mother, we should have known it was a little bit odd. Her mother decided that she would take both the kids so that we could get rest after our long trip. She usually only took one, but at this instance she said she'd take both. We just thought she was being nice in order for us to get a little bit of rest after our long trip. Now, the 4 state troopers come and knock on our door, serving us both with restraining orders. Now, mine said that I physically, sexually abused him, that I did all kinds of other things that which now I've come to find out is called the shotgun approach. So that's what happened there. With my wife, they said she medically neglected him, that she educationally neglected him, that she neglected him in basically every way possible. So now this is only to my stepson, not to my daughter that we have in common. So they take my stepson away. We take my daughter back from her mother. Once we find out it was actually her mother that was part of all of this. All of this stuff just keeps transpiring. We called DCF, we called the Sheriff's Department, we had them do full investigations into me and into her and into our parenting. They all came back with nothing. Now, however, her ex had a very expensive lawyer, so that helped them out a lot. So what happens there is we go to court. We hire the best lawyer that we could afford at the time, which wasn't the best lawyer at the time. We get through all of that. We get into the court hearing. We say DCF has found nothing. Orange County Sheriffs have found nothing. They've done a psychological evaluation. They've done all of these things and found no abuse. This needs to be dismissed. The judge says, well, I think there may be possibility that there is abuse. Let's keep going with this trial. They consolidate a modification of parent-child contact and the RFA hearing together into one big lump. So now at this point, we're in this big hearing that we had no idea what we were in for. We thought that they would need to prove us unfit. That's not the case whatsoever. All they needed to do was prove themselves better. That's the whole point of the court case, is to prove yourself better. Lie, cheat, steal, do whatever you can, buy the most expensive lawyer, and prove yourself better. If you can prove yourself better, you will get the child, you will get the child support, and you will get everything that you've ever dreamed of. That's how the child custody system works, and that's just it. It's that simple. Prove yourself to be amazing. Now, we had witnesses, and we had people, and we had all of these people that would have said that we were great parents. We were pillars in our community. We were members of the church. We were doing all of these things. We were business owners, everything else. However, our attorneys didn't present any of that information. None of that information was presented. Now, her ex, on the other hand, has outran the police, had a high-speed chase, has numerous arrests, has gotten fired from every job that he's ever had because he stole. All of these things are provable and were there, but none of them mattered at all. That family court judge knew the name of his family. So names matter, and everything else matters. So all of this to say that the family court has failed over and over again. They got me for an RFA, not because I abused him. No, an RFA is Vermont's version of a relief from abuse or a restraining order, but not because I abused him. No. That's not the reason why they got me. The reason they got me is because I put him in time out, as they called it, for excessive periods of time. I'm not sure what an excessive period of time is, but he wasn't there all day. He was there multiple times a day at times because he did have severe ADHD, and upon talking to his therapist, what our job is to put him in timeout, to let him scream, kick, and yell for a little bit in his room with his door open, just allow him time to cope with what's going on. Go in once he stops, start the time for his time out there, and have a conversation with him. And that's what we did. But because our parents lived next door, they said he was yelling and screaming for hours. Their X-ray vision saw all of this. See, the family court is corrupt. It does not work. It's based on biased principles, and we know this. So my job here on this channel isn't necessarily to tell you all about me. It's to tell you all about others. So what I'm doing here is I'm coming to the table with all of these people and all of these stories that the court has corrupted their lives. I want them to be able to tell you. I want you to hear it firsthand from them. You be the judge. You make your decisions on whether you think the family court is actually working for us. And if you truly think it's not, then help us make a change. So that's the other part of this channel. It will be to see who's out there trying to make changes. What are they doing to make the change? Not only the stories of the people that this has affected and continues to affect, but also who's out there making a change. So that's the premise for this whole channel, and I hope that you stick around, and I hope you continue to watch. Thank you, and God bless.